Welcome back to Gen Z Speaks. As you can see, we are much more professional now with professional mics, nice setup. We're also now officially on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. And officially, we're now a podcast. We can now officially call ourselves a podcast. Finally, let's introduce ourselves really quickly. With me, my usual co-hosts, Jenish. Thank you. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Hanging in there.
And last but not least, the future real estate tycoon, Matt Gutierrez. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Pushing through.
All right, let's
How are you?
just I'm doing all right, man. I haven't been sleeping well the past couple of days, but it's all right. It's all right. Gotta just, like you said, push it through. Let's dive right in. Start off with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that's currently happening. So what are your guys' thoughts on
before could you give a background for people who haven't just a little bit of background information for people who have not heard about the case or know about it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So Kyle Rittenhouse, I guess so. Let's start off in August of 2020. Jacob Blake is in a car and he has a warrant on him, and his fiance calls the cops on him for domestic abuse. And police think that he had a knife on him, and police fatally shoot him. He's still alive, but he's paralyzed. And so a lot of people in Kenosha, Wisconsin started to protest, and a lot of these protests turned violent. There was looting going on. A lot of businesses were being burned. The city was just in chaos in Kenosha, Wisconsin in August of 2020, right after the shooting of Jacob Blake. On the third night of these protests, a guy, 17-year-old guy named Kyle Rittenhouse, came over from Illinois. I think it's really close to Wisconsin, the city that he's in, but nonetheless, he comes over across state lines. His mom actually drives him to Kenosha, where his dad lives, and I believe some other family members of him live there. And he was also a lifeguard in Kenosha. But short story short, he goes to Kenosha with his AR-15 rifle, and his goal apparently is to protect the businesses there. A specific business, I forget the name of the business, but I think it's a car shop. And he claims that the car shop called people to protect the business itself. And he goes there along with other people who also have these huge guns, and they're trying to protect the businesses because the city's in utter chaos, and the situation has gotten so much out of hand that the police couldn't do anything. So as these protests are happening, Kyle encounters this guy. His name is Joseph. I want to get his name right. Give me 1 second. His name is
the last name's hard to say, man.
Yeah, the last name is hard to say. I mean, when I saw the trial, Rosenbaum. There you go. So Joseph Rosenbaum. He encounters Joseph Rosenbaum, who's being, really like abusive towards him, and he's being reckless throughout the night. Nonetheless, they have like a situation where Joseph starts chasing Kyle. And remember, Kyle is carrying his AR-15 rifle. Joseph throws like a plastic bag on him, and then Kyle, in self-defense, shoots him essentially. Now, during the trial, they claim that Kyle Rittenhouse thought that Joseph was going to reach for his gun, and that he thought that once Joseph got this gun, the mental state that Joseph was in, he would like shoot up other people around him. And so Kyle thought that it was better for him to defend himself, because he thought the gun, once Joseph took it, he would kill Kyle as well. That's what he claims. So when that happens, when Kyle kills Joseph Rosenbaum in Kenosha, a lot of other protesters start chasing after him, right? And Kyle goes towards where some of the police cars are stationed. So as he's running, a bunch of these protesters are chasing him. And among these protesters is a guy named Gage Grosskreutz. I think I'm mispronouncing his name, but Gage is there. And then Anthony Huber is there. So Anthony Huber, he kills Anthony Huber as well. And again, Anthony Huber, I think, is the one who hits him with a skateboard. And then Gage is like a paramedic. He was around the area helping people out, but Gage had a pistol on him. And Gage was like, he pointed his pistol towards Kyle, and then Kyle killed him. And Gage accepted this during the trial. The prosecution actually brought him in to explain how Kyle was a danger to the area, but the witness in this case, I believe Gage Grosskreutz, he accepted that Kyle only shot him once he put his pistol in front of him. And so Gage survived. He was only shot in the bicep. So he survived. The other two, Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum, died. The main question in this case, and I have it in our show notes, Doc, is the central question that the jury has to look at in this case is one, was Kyle just, did Kyle have to kill these two people just to protect himself in self-defense? And the other question was that was Kyle, was he supposed to be, was he just there because he had a malintention? Was he looking for trouble, or was he genuinely there to like help people out and help, I don't know, help in the situation, even though he had no qualifications to be there? So those are the two central questions being analyzed in this case.
Right. Okay. So here's the deal. And this is the part that, so obviously there's a lot of like inconsistencies in the case, right? And things that just don't make sense. And I don't think that they should be viable defenses for either side, right? Like such as, first off, right, Kyle was there to protect a business. Like, okay, he's a 17-year-old kid carrying around an AR-15 against police brutality. Like, obviously that's a pretty intense protest, right? That's already extremely intense. And then for him to be going as like as if he's a cop or a military man, like it doesn't make much sense, right? And so that part is already just like, I'm flabbergasted. It's just weird, right? You're going to a business to protect them. You're not a security guard, as if a security guard can even do anything at that point, right? But you're not police. You're not military. You don't really have any credentials to do so. Sure, it may be legal in the state of Wisconsin to carry a 16-inch rifle, right? But is it right? That's the problem. It doesn't make sense how you can be walking around the street. So the whole thing, right? So we were talking about this before the podcast, actually. And so the reason it's legal to carry a 16-inch barrel in Wisconsin is because citizens have the right to hunt, okay? And as a teenager, you have the right to hunt with a 16-inch barrel. That's considered a long barrel gun, right? Artillery. And here's the thing. If you're in a city, what are you hunting? Okay. I understand if you're in the woods or if you're like, maybe in the desert or whatever, right? You're even if you're just shooting cans, I have no problem with guns. Like that's not the case here. The case is you're at a protest that's already intense, carrying around a gun in the middle of a city. So there's extremely inconsistencies there, right? And then you talk about how he shot the guy, right? Because he looked like he was going for the gun. So that's already extremely like there's no proof that the guy can be going for the gun, right? Or was there?
So with Joseph Rosenbaum, and again, I think I'm butchering his last name, but Joseph, let's call him Joseph. Apparently he had a mental situation where he was recently discharged from a mental institution, and he's like a charged pedophile or something like that, where he's had a history of not being a good guy. And like he wasn't in a sane mind.
Did Kyle know him?
Kyle did not know him, but he could see.
So he didn't know that though.
Yeah, the thing is, 1 second before the gun part that you're explaining. So what Matt was talking about was, so before, in the beginning of the trial, Kyle was charged with carrying a weapon illegally, which was the AR-15. But then the defense did some research, and according to a Wisconsin statute, people who are under the age of 18 are not allowed to carry a weapon that's called a short-barreled rifle. And the classification for the short-barreled rifle is that if a rifle is shorter than 16 inches, then it's illegal to carry. But if it's a longer rifle, which in this case it was an AR-15, it was longer than 16 inches. In Wisconsin, a teenager can legally carry it. And again, Wisconsin is an open carry state. And so this law basically is supposed to allow teenagers to hunt. But so what the act of Kyle Rittenhouse holding his AR-15 was technically legal under a Wisconsin statute, as insane as that sounds. So technically, any teenager carrying an AR-15 around Wisconsin would be doing so legally, which makes no sense to me again. But go on.
For sure. Wait, so okay. So we just cleared that up, right? And then we also cleared up that Kyle didn't know the guy. He didn't know that he was a pre-pedophile, right? Or that he just got released. So it doesn't make sense how you can look at somebody and see that they have like an edge, right? Unless they do have an edge. But in this case, I don't see who wouldn't have an edge at a police brutality protest. I think everybody would be on edge, right? I mean, if I were there, which I wouldn't be because I have no interest in being at a police brutality protest, arguing something like that. But regardless, I feel like it's already an intense subject. There's people from both very far right, very far left, and typically those extremists, do take things to an extreme manner. And so if you take things to an extreme manner, things often happen that shouldn't happen. And so, yeah, if I was there, I would be on edge as well. But I don't think that, first off, Kyle has a gun. This other guy has a gun. Joseph has a gun, right? So they both have guns at this point. Kyle thinks the guy is reaching for the gun, so he goes ahead and shoots him. So another thing, there's no proof that the guy was even going for the gun. He's dead now, right? He's dead. We don't know whether he was going for the gun or not. We don't know if Kyle actually thought he was going for the gun, or maybe they exchanged some words and Kyle didn't like it and he had an AR-15 in his hand. So that can also be the case as well, right? All in all, it doesn't make sense how this whole case is going along. Another thing I want to bring up is the prosecutor, real quick. I don't think the prosecutor is doing a good job at all. He's talking about subjects like Kyle playing video games, like as if that matters. Playing a video game, right? Playing Call of Duty. I'm sure we've all played Call of Duty here, right? I'm not a video game player myself, but yeah, I've played Call of Duty once in my life. Okay. Does that mean I'm a serial murderer? I don't think so. Okay. And sure, as a teenager, typically, I mean, I'm not going to say typically, but I know a lot of people that play video games, Call of Duty, gun games as a teenager. That's not like, it's not out of the norm. It's not atypical. And so the thing is, bringing that up, even that, if I was the jury and I saw the prosecutor bring that up, I would go away from that argument, right? I wouldn't want to be associated with that. Like, it doesn't make, there's no correlation there. Just because you play a video game, that means you're going to go commit a murder.
Yeah.
What do you think, Janish?
Definitely. Like, dude, hundreds of millions of people play Call of Duty and like these, games that involve guns and violence and stuff. And that doesn't mean like not even like 1% of them become murderers. And like there would be like a million murders out there, like
100%.
There's has actually been studies between violence and video game kids that play video games or stuff like that. And there's zero correlation. There's like scientifically there's no correlation between video games and violence or anything of that sort. And you brought up that prosecution's weak kind of attacks on Kyle, right? Weak arguments, yeah. I remember reading a comment that said the prosecution was Kyle's best defense, and it's actually true.
It is very true.
The prosecution is actually helping Kyle more than actually trying to take him down. So I mean, yeah, as far as the case goes, the prosecution is doing a really bad job, in my opinion.
And real quick, Ibrahim, to add on to that, I don't think Kyle's actually doing anything in his favor. I think the whole how he blew up and started crying, like it seemed very fake. It seemed like very anticipated. And I don't think that the prosecutor is helping anything by asking these types of questions, especially when Kyle is doing the opposite of helping himself.
I did see a lot of people on Twitter and elsewhere thought that Kyle was acting. I honestly, genuinely think that first of all, Kyle is an idiot. There's no question about it. He's not a hero in any sense of the word, right? He's not a hero. He's an idiot, 17-year-old kid who doesn't know what he's doing. But I will say, I don't think he was acting. You could clearly see that, in my opinion, at least, that he's suffering through some PTSD, right? I mean, you could see that he was still struggling to understand. He's still struggling with what he did, and maybe he has some guilt over it. But I don't think it was acting. I think it was mainly just like his PTSD, and like being in a public place with all the cameras pointed at you and this pressure of the situation. So one thing I didn't want to kind of say.
Well, wait, one sec.
Mm-hmm.
You felt like his performance was real? You thought that I was?
Yeah, I think it was real. Honestly, I think it was real.
Man.
I didn't think it was fake. I thought he's probably going through some PTSD. No,
I thought it was too bad to be fake. That's why I thought
exactly.
It was real. Because
come on, man.
Yeah, like nobody cries like that.
Okay, dude. Well, unless you don't know how to act and you don't know what to do.
Even if
that question.
Acting,
the thing is, dude, the question didn't even provoke emotion like that, and it just happened. How do you?
No. So he he recounting what the events that happened. That was the question. He was like, explain what happened when you were. I don't know exactly what event you were describing, but it was like during the shooting. So he was the prosecution was telling him to explain what happened, like in detail and stuff, and that's why he started crying.
I completely disagree. I
Well,
think
no,
that was completely
when you
okay. First off, dude. So that question, like to recap things, right? In a situation like that, that's bound to happen if you're going to take the stand. And so I'm not 100% because I don't know the defense attorney, right? But I'm sure the defense attorney said, be prepared for this. And maybe they recapped a way to get around it because it sounds bad. Obviously, it sounds bad. He murdered 2 people. And so maybe a way to get around it is to tap into the pathos of the jury, right? And start crying, because when somebody starts crying, you like inherently you feel bad for them, right? There's a sense of like sympathy that people have for others that are crying. And so I think that's the case here. I wouldn't.
Honestly, I don't think the whole crying thing even matters. Like, sure, who cares if he faked it? I mean, it's whatever.
I care.
But what I think. Oh wait, so Ibrahim, I think, can you, going back to the legalities of it just a little bit? You said, like, the whole thing with the hunting laws and stuff. So how does, like, we clearly know that this is an AR and he's carrying around the city. Like, we know, right? Like, put aside like the law and the the legalities behind. We know what he was doing. So isn't there some sort of, I don't know anything about law or anything, but isn't there some sort of clause where you can kind of infer his what he was trying to do, rather than just looking at the legalities, like, oh, it's a 16-inch, it's more than 16 inches, so it's fine. But we clearly know it wasn't a hunting rifle, it was an AR. Like, isn't there some sort of law that can help with that? Or
So real quick, ARs are considered hunting rifles.
So it was a statute, right? And the statute says, let me go back to the statute because I want to get this right. The statute said, it basically said that it is unlawful for those under the age of 18 to carry what is known as a short barrel rifle, a rifle with a barrel shorter than 16 inches, but it is not illegal to carry a longer rifle. So because it like states the 16 inches, it's clear. The statute is pretty clear. I mean, you're right about it making no sense at all. But again, this was a very extenuating circumstance. I don't think this has happened before in Wisconsin history, where a kid carrying an AR rifle kills people and injures others. But I just want to go back to what you were talking about with Joseph Rosenbaum. So according to Kyle's testimony, and again, I'm quoting an NPR article that kind of goes through these events. According to Kyle's testimony, though, Rosenbaum threatened to kill him twice, and he was carrying a chain with him, and he threw like a plastic bag at him or something, and he was chasing him around. And he claims that he also said that I'm going to kill you. But again, the prosecution countered that, saying that this Joseph guy, right? He was this really short guy, had a Napoleon complex, and he had just been like, they showed videos. When I saw the trial, they were showing videos of Joseph Rosenbaum encountering with other protesters, well, not other protesters, with other armed militia people. And it showed how they kind of like just ignored him. Like, how these, like, some of these guys are like, they're all talk but no action. That's how the prosecution kind of portrayed Joseph. But according to Kyle, he took him much more seriously when he said, I'm going to kill you. Like, he was holding this chain, and Joseph was like running around committing arson. Like, he was like lighting tires on fire and stuff like that. And so the prosecution claims Joseph is this idiot guy. He's a loser who shouldn't be taken seriously. He's this really short guy. People can be threatened by him. And then Kyle claims that Joseph threatened to kill him twice. He was chasing after him. And then that he was scared that he was going to reach for his gun and kill him. So
once again,
that's a claim, right? That's a claim. That's not fact, is it? That he said that he was going to kill him and chasing after him and all that?
Well, no, you can see in the video. You can see in the video that he's chasing.
Okay.
And that's definitely true. He's right about him.
So wait. That's actually another bad argument, because if someone says, I'm going to kill you, even if it's all no talk or whatever, that's still a threat. Like, who?
That's what the defense claimed.
That's a risk. I think that's a strong defense, because if someone says, I'm going to kill you,
shoot them? That's
no, you don't
okay,
shoot
buddy.
them. You don't shoot them.
Yeah, but that's what he did. He shot him.
Yeah, but he's chasing after you and stuff. Like,
He shot him. He shot towards him 4 times. I believe it was 4 shots that resulted in him like dying afterwards in the ambulance. But yeah, it was 4 times he shot it towards him.
Okay, if somebody says, I'm gonna kill you, Matt, my immediate reaction isn't gonna be to get out an AR-15 and start shooting the guy, right? 4 times. Okay, maybe a warning shot, right? I mean, if you have an AR-15, I'm assuming you're somewhat aware of how to aim, right? And if you're aiming at him and you're shooting him 4 times, you don't need to. You can move away a little bit and do a warning shot. And if somebody does a warning shot and they're all talk, they're gonna run. And then what happens is if they pull out their whatever gun they have and they start shooting at you, then you start shooting at them. Okay.
no, I agree with you. I'm not supporting Kyle here. I'm just saying like, that's like a bad, like I'm gonna kill you. I don't know if that's a good like, I mean, that's like for the prosecution. I think it's a weak kind of argument.
Weak point.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. It's just I don't feel like this should be. I don't feel this should be as crazy of a case as it is. You know what I mean? I feel like people are taking this into like there's like people on either side, right? And I don't feel it should be that way. I think the reason, honestly, again, like Ibrahim said in one of our reels, he was saying how parties and how the government and how everybody's trying to divide us. And that's exactly what it is, right? There's people on either side that are dividing us like further and further and further. And it shouldn't be about whether you're a Republican or whether you're a Democrat. It should be about whether the guy killed somebody not, I don't say lawfully, because it's not lawful to kill somebody, but if he killed the guy, more morally or not, or however you want to say. I don't feel like murder in any sense in this case is moral, because this you could see in his face, right? He's not some guy that's a murderer, right? Or he's come from the hood, or like anything like that. He's just some kid that's trying to prove a point, that's trying to prove he's worth something, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Also, let me I have to actually like correct myself here. So according to Richie McGinnis's testimony, Richie McGinnis is this reporter who's kind of filming this, and Kyle is kind of shooting, and this reporter is right behind Joseph. And Richie McGinnis, who was actually testifying in favor of the prosecution, said that he testified that Joseph Rosenbaum, lunged forward towards Kyle's gun. So that's his testimony. This reporter is that
I thought the claim was that he lunged for his own weapon.
No, I think that was the paramedic. That's the third guy. That's the third guy.
Yeah.
So that's the third guy, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No. So
wait, 1 second though, quickly.
Okay,
go ahead. No,
let
go
me
ahead.
just clarify something. For this, from the NPR article, right? Rosenbaum was unarmed. Okay.
He was.
So he was unarmed. Rittenhouse was the one that was trying to hit him with a skateboard, or was striking him with a skateboard. And Gross Quirce, the paramedic, he was the one that was armed with the pistol.
Yes. So the pistol guy, what's his name again?
Just call him Gage.
Gage. So Gage pointed a gun towards him, and then Kyle fired towards him. And then for Rosenbaum, for the second guy, what did he do for the second guy?
Second guy, he shot him.
But was there a provocation where he did something like?
I'm not sure. I think he was like in this like general area where no, the second guy hit him with a skateboard. Is that
the second guy is the one that's hit him with a skateboard, right? That's the second guy. I think he punched him.
But that was a result of what happened with the first guy, right?
Yeah. So
exactly. So okay, here's the thing, right? Our facts were a little off prior to this conversation now, but the opinion still is the same, right? It all happened because of what Kyle did. That's the thing. Facts might have been a little jumbled, and facts matter here. But at the end of the day, he still shot 3 people and killed 2, all as a result of the first case, which the guy was unarmed. So that both of those shootings afterwards, right, happened because of him.
He lunged for his gun, apparently, according to testimony of the reporter McGinnis. Okay. He saw Rosenbaum lunging for his gun. Basically, so he's been charged with a bunch of different charges. Among them is like first-degree reckless endangering safety. There's first-degree reckless homicide. There is there's like first degree intentional homicide. I think all the prosecution has to kind of like show is that Kyle Rittenhouse had basically an utter quote, an utter disregard for human life. What do you think he did in this? How he acted, like he had an utter disregard for human life.
Of
Would that be
course.
accurate to say?
Of
If yes,
course.
then he's guilty of uh, first degree reckless homicide.
I don't think there's a doubt of that because, like, I don't know. I feel like he provoked some of the violence that happened, and just the
100%.
fact like you're carrying an AR-15 in the city. I mean, like you're looking for something like trouble. Like I don't know. I just feel like
Mm.
what else is the point of carrying a rifle? Like oh, self-defense. Like I don't know, man. That just doesn't.
No, his thing was he was carrying the
He
rifle to protect the business from looting and like all the chaos that was happening. So he's trying to defend the businesses.
Yeah,
Again,
but
he
you're
it's
right.
drove
not like
out of
a
state. He drove out of state to go ahead and do that.
Well, yeah,
That's that,
so
you
he
know?
drove out of state apparently to volunteer to get some graffiti off the wall, and then like one of the businesses asked his friend if he wanted to defend, and then short story is you're right, he should not have this weapon. I have no idea why this Wisconsin statute is a thing. No teenager should just be roaming the streets with an AR-15 rifle and just it'd be okay. Like I don't understand that. Again, in my opinion, like you were saying, Matt, he definitely this kid has a hero. This kid has a hero complex. He wanted to make up it. He wanted to like save the day somehow with his limited skills. I don't know what he was trying to do. Again, the guy's an idiot. Like I hate the fact that the right wing is trying to show who this guy is, this hero who's like Superman coming to save businesses and helping out the community. Like he's clearly
okay.
does not have no
So
clue, has no clue.
wait. Okay, so I don't watch political news lately, right? And I want to know what the right is saying about this case. Have you
Oh,
guys watched
the
anything?
right. Yeah. So I just saw Fox News today, and
Uh-huh.
one of the
No.
they were
Tucker?
saying this is a very clear and cut case of self-defense. Like I've never seen a much more clear and cut self-defense case.
Oh my
So
god.
they do have a point in that Kyle is not just an active shooter. He's definitely not like I don't think, it's just my personal opinion. After I did not watch the entire trial. I saw the opening statements and the closing statements and portions of the trial. From what I've researched, at least, it seems to me Kyle did not go in there wanting to kill people. Rather, he put himself in a situation where he acted in a reckless way. That's my opinion, and
Yeah.
I do think he acted in a way that was not respectful, obviously, of the human life.
I think also a part of it is just the environment. Like if you
Yeah.
see the protests, it's just like chaotic. There's like noises out there, people breaking stuff, and it's just like I think that type of stuff can put you in a state of mind where you're trying to like maybe he might have felt like more scared than he needed to be, or maybe more like just anxious or something. I don't know, but it was pretty chaotic in those protests, at least in the videos.
I kind of want to talk about the first shooting again, because that's I think that's the most interesting part, because I feel like that has the most speculation, right? Because sure maybe Joseph was running after right, Kyle, right? But the thing is, even if he was running after him, the guy has an AR-15, meaning it has a bunt stock, right? So that's where you kind of lay it on your shoulder. And what happens oftentimes, you can see in movies all the time, and it's a common practice in military and in police academy, where you don't go to shoot, but you actually hit him with the bunt, right? So if a guy's running after you, lunging for your gun, bunt him. That's going to knock him out, okay? You don't go ahead and kill the guy, because bunting the guy is not going to kill him unless you hit him in the back of the head. But if a guy's running at you, lunging at you, you're going to bunt him, okay? And then I think there's a lot of speculation with what they're saying, right? With what they're verbally saying. And I feel like Kyle is trying to, because he knows there's a lot of speculation, right? The attorneys know that there's a lot of speculation with what's verbally happening here, because there's no audio evidence. And so sure, Joseph could be saying things like, I'm going to kill you, but we don't know what Kyle told him. We don't know if Kyle was taunting him or not, right? And so if we're talking about speculation, you got to consider both sides, right? Not just the one side.
Well, but the thing about speculation is I'm 100% sure that Joseph guy was saying all those things because he was acting in a way. They showed evidence of him acting in a reckless way before this. There was videos of him like taunting other people. So Joseph was definitely taunting him and saying all this stuff. You're right.
But you don't think Kyle was saying anything?
I honestly, I've told you this, like Kyle is literally an idiot. There's no other way to put it. The guy is a low IQ guy. He's a low IQ guy, right? He's literally, you can see in the trial, he's a low IQ guy. He's not gifted with any emotional intelligence. You could clearly see that on the when he was giving his testimony, when he was testifying, which defendants rarely ever do. I don't think he was thinking straight. So, like you said, if this guy knew how to act in situations like this, he would have clearly, tried to like knock him out and not use his weapon. But like Jenish said, it's a really good point. When you're in that situation, and I'm not defending Kyle here, there's no excuse for what he did. Like you said, you don't just kill a guy. He acted recklessly, but he was in that situation where he was seeing all this chaos and this looting and people like chasing this guy chasing after him. And he's 17 years old. I do think we have to take that into account. Like, he's not an adult. Joseph is an adult. This guy is a minor, but again, that doesn't excuse the fact for what he did. I'm just trying to see both sides of the perspective and both sides of like the argument that was being conducted during the trial. But
do you think the city or the state should pay any reparations to the families because of, it's a strange law that a teenager can be carrying an AR-15 in the city?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I honestly, I don't know if it's not a clear cut. This is a very complicated trial. I don't think it's clear and cut like other people are saying on the left and the right. Again, like, I hate the fact, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year when this happened, they were trying to portray Kyle as this white supremacist active shooter, and like they were trying to like say that he went in there trying to kill protesters. Like, that was his first goal. I disagree.
Probably like CNN, right?
Well, a lot of the left wing like news media were saying. Then they will also, what I hate about all this was they were making Kyle guilty until they were already assuming Kyle was guilty until proven otherwise. In the country, you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think that's a really good principle that we have in this country. And like,
if it's followed.
Yeah, if it's followed, like, you can't just go into something unless like it's clearly clear what happened, right? Like, they just jump to conclusions. They kind of want to just further their own political agenda and connect two different things. And like, it's all about getting clicks and like getting our attention. And so the wildest story gets the attention. So I'm not surprised that the left-wing media was going nuts about this. And again, the right-wing media is trying to show this guy as a hero, as a victim. They're trying to show Kyle as this victim. Again, like I said, this guy who was there, he's a family man. He's trying to protect the businesses with his AR rifle, which makes no sense, to be honest.
Family man.
That's why, like, I think the truth is always in the middle. Like the truth is always in the middle. And I think this is, in this trial, that's where it is. But the legality of this is completely different, because even if one juror thinks that Kyle is innocent, it's over. Kyle is innocent. And so it has to be a unanimous decision, whatever they come to. It has to be a unanimous decision. If there's like multiple members of the jury who disagree, there'll be a hung jury, which means that this case will be retried. There's also a chance that this case can go to a mistrial. So like Matt, you want to tell them about, so the judge got pissed at the prosecutor because the prosecutor was using the argument that because Kyle was silent after this happened, that kind of showed he was guilty. And the judge got really pissed at him. He said that that's your right. You have the right to remain silent until you contact your attorney, and that you shouldn't, use that against Kyle. And so
which is fair, right? Which is fair.
Yeah, that's
a fair statement. But the way the judge went about it, right? That's the issue. Unfair. The tonality of it. Honestly, what the judge said, that's totally fair, but he was completely shutting the prosecutor down. And I don't think that's fair. The tonality, he was extremely aggressive. He wasn't cool, level-headed like a judge should be, right? Like, judges are there because they know how it is to be an attorney. They know how it is to run the law, right? And to show that kind of emotion and to show that kind of, I felt like it was rampant behavior. I don't think it was fair behavior in terms of his tone, right? The way he was reacting to it. It seemed like he was in favor of Kyle, even though what he was saying was level-headed, not level-headed, but was in the middle, and it was fair.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not. So this judge I was reading into him. He has a reputation of being really tough on the prosecution side, which I think is a good thing to do. But like you said, he basically said the prosecutor that he was lying and acting in bad faith, which again, the jury was not in the room when this happened. So they were not negatively affected by it. But like you said, I do agree with you that it seems the way he's like ruling it, and like just like you said, his body language towards the prosecution, he looks biased. Like it seems almost like he's protecting Kyle. Like that's just
Yes.
like my honest, like
Like
from
he's
an
his
honest,
uncle.
unbiased like observation. You're right. I agree with you on that. But what was I saying before? So yeah, so the prosecutors again did not do a good job. Like they're all over the place. And again, like there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct in our criminal justice system, and prosecutors are always trying to cross the line. And this prosecutor was definitely trying to cross the line. And again, like you said, because the legality is so like convoluted, there is a chance that he might get acquitted tomorrow. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he gets acquitted. Like I honestly don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It could go either way, but I will be surprised though if he's guilty on all the counts. I don't think he's going to be guilty of all 5 charges, at least in my opinion. But yeah, morally though, I blame Kyle responsible for this whole situation because, like you said, man, it's simple to me. If Kyle wasn't there, Joseph would be alive. The other guy would be alive, and then the other guy whose bicep is now gone because he shot him in the arm wouldn't be like physically impaired. So Kyle didn't need to be there. 17-year-old kid has no idea what he's doing, carrying this big weapon that he has no clue how to operate. So morally, I blame him responsible, but legally, our laws are convoluted and there's different layers of defense. So it could go either way. But
to be fair, like I know I was bagging on the prosecutor a lot. I don't think the defense attorney is any better. I don't think either of them are doing a good job. I don't think they're doing a good job in defense of either of their arguments. And so I think the defense attorney is like, he just seems too lax about it. He doesn't seem like he's putting up like solid arguments. He seems like he's letting, I mean, first off, I'm not an attorney. I don't never had any law classes, right? Except business law, but this is completely different. So this is just my opinion on his body language and his tonality of it. But it just seems like the questions are very lax. He's kind of letting Kyle, he's asking questions, trying to incite some emotion from Kyle, and that'll do the work, which I'm sure is a common practice, right? But it just seems like he's not in it to win it really. And on the opposite side, the prosecutor, I don't think, just like I said, his questions, I don't think his due diligence was there. I don't think he investigated this enough to create solid arguments. And so I don't think either of them are doing a solid job. And I think I honestly, I think it's kind of funny how much traction this one is getting, because there's been cases like this, right? The case isn't funny. The case is extremely serious, but how much traction it's gaining and how we're even talking about it the way we're talking about it right now. I think it's extremely interesting, and it's just in my opinion, a political agenda, like you were saying, Ibrahim.
No, but the thing is, you can't remove the politics out of it. Like the politics is so central because this happened, at the peak of the Black Lives Matter protests that were happening in Kenosha and elsewhere. Right. And I do want to make this observation that a lot of people, a lot of minorities, people of color in America they are in jail for far less crimes. Like people are still in our jails for smoking weed. Like literally.
I'm just gonna say it. This is my personal opinion. You guys can disagree with it. If it was a African American carrying an AR-15, a 17-year-old, he would be dead right now. Just saying. Actually, he would be dead.
Yeah, it was so bizarre to me, man, because the video, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but he's going towards the police cars with his hands up, and the police cars just like drive past him. They just like drive past him. They don't even like kind of notice. But I mean, I guess it makes sense because a lot of people were armed during those protests, so they might not have noticed what was happening. But you're right about this, man. Race is such a big element of this. Like you can't remove race from this, right? Like, so I don't know.
So check this out. Just like you said, so just a personal anecdote about this whole police thing. So it's interesting that the police kind of acted like they didn't see it or, whatever, right? It's funny because, okay, so I went to New York last December, and me and my buddies, we rented an Airbnb, and we're a street away from Times Square, and we're at the corner, right? So our Airbnb is looking out at two streetways, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so at one corner of the streetway, I hear some yelling, and so I'm like, I'm nosy. So I look out the window, what's going on? And my cousin, my cousin and my other friend, we look out the window, and all of a sudden, this dude, he was totally stoned, or like he was on something 100%, right? And all of a sudden he just started attacking his friend, just started bailing on him. And then this lady comes about and she's like, stop, trying to stop it. The dude runs at her, starts wailing on her as well. And so what do? We all run downstairs and we stop it, right? And end up calling the police and whatever. But the interesting thing is, so I ran out there after my cousin and my friend ran out there, right? Right outside of our Airbnb, our hotel room, there was 5 police officers sitting there. And I kid you not, it was probably 30 yards away. So there's no way they didn't hear the yelling. There's no way you didn't hear this lady screaming in agony because the dude broke her nail. Literally, her entire nail came off. He was wailing on her. So she has crazy bruises right here, right? There's no way. But they acted like there was nothing going on. And so I just think obviously it wasn't a similar situation because there was a protest and riot, occurring in Wisconsin. But the case that the point that you said that they just didn't notice it, it just seems like maybe there's a sense of entitlement there, right? That they don't necessarily have to always be there. I'm not saying all police. I'm not saying all police because I'm all for police. I'm all for personal law, not personal, but law enforcement and all. But just my personal anecdote, I thought that was interesting to see. I thought it was really weird to see.
It might be a little different though in Kenosha because like a lot of people were armed, and like the police officer also testified in the case, and he said that there's a lot of people like had their hands up who were armed, and so they probably were disoriented or didn't notice. But yeah, it's a really weird case. I honestly, like you said, man, I don't know why I do know why we're like talking about it in terms of like why it's getting so much media attention. But honestly, like there's so many other issues and problems that our country needs to address.
That's the point. Yeah.
Like it's a distraction for sure.
Moving on
For
from
sure.
one tragedy to the next tragedy.
Yeah.
You guys haven't heard yet. Astroworld happened. Travis Scott's concert. And initially, 8 people died in the concert. And initially, the reports were saying that there were some people with needles stabbing them, and then that's the reason they were dying. But that was later unsupported by the police. They said that did not happen. There was no needles, right? Also, after this whole thing, another girl just died like a couple of days ago because of brain injuries. And after that, right, like yesterday, another kid just died, 9 years old, and his name is Ezra Blount. He becomes the 10th person to die. And this pretty much all happens because when you have 50,000 people stacked up in like a small area, and then there's like this one of the best performers, or one of the performers that gets everybody super hyped, starts performing and starts raging, everybody just starts hitting each other and just doing crazy stuff in the
Let's be fair though, Travis does take mosh pits to a different level, right?
Yeah,
it's
he
not
does.
like a normal
That's what I'm saying.
mosh
He's like
pit. Okay.
one of the most hype performers, right?
Yeah.
He does like crazy stuff, right? And because of that, people get injured, people, and in his concerts normally it's pretty common for injuries. Like it's actually common, not death, but like injuries, like people get like hit in the head, or like get hit in the body or something.
People wail on each other at his concerts.
Exactly, yeah, because it's just
that shouldn't be a common practice in my opinion.
Yeah, but his whole idea is about raging, and I'm not gonna lie, I do listen to Travis Scott's music, and I do like Travis a lot.
But I think we all do.
Yeah, but the problem that people were having now is that what he did, what he didn't do, and he didn't stop the concert. He didn't. There were videos surfacing all around the internet of people telling Travis to stop the concert, telling him there's injured people, and he just continued. And so that's the problem now. And then in this whole case, right? It's kind of I call it a tragedy because there's no justice. There's no like right, like it was just kind of bad. Like, what's justice? Travis ending up in jail? That's not really justice. And he's not gonna end up in jail anyways. But even if he does, that's not really justice. These people died anyways. Like what Travis said he's gonna pay these people's families from the show's earnings. And I mean, yeah, that's cool, I guess, but that's not really like, we're not getting anything out. So, I mean, whole idea here is, what do you guys think Travis should have done? Because I mean, when you
let us know
have,
in the comments what you
yeah,
guys think Travis should do or shouldn't have done, right?
yeah, definitely, and I want to know actually you guys' opinion as well. So
I, I'm torn on this topic because one, like you, before all this happened, I was a really big fan of Travis Scott, like his music. I do think he's a gifted hip hop, rapper. But regarding this event, I so I looked into I again like we can like talk about this later about idolizing like these different like celebrities and like singers, but he has pled guilty to inciting a riot before. So this is something that he has done before and acted recklessly. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Houston police officers told Travis and the event organizers that the crowd was being rowdy and that the event was over capacity. They warned him. They warned him about this, right? I'm correct on that, right? I read that somewhere. And he didn't listen. He just like, it's fine. It's like he's like, that's usual. That's usual for my shows. Everybody acts a little rowdy. And then he also, remember how he posts about like, I know the tickets are limited, so like just the ragers will like jump on the fences. Like
yeah,
he kind of encourages like
everybody just tries to like rush to the front, and just
Yeah.
try to like get in the mosh pits and stuff like that.
Sorry, and if anybody's confused what we're talking about, we're just talking about Astroworld, the music festival that Travis Scott. I'm sure most people know, but Travis Scott, this big artist, had this huge concert in Houston, and 10 people died because, like you were saying, Jenish, they were just literally clamored. They died of suffocation, and some people died because they passed out, and other people were stepping over them. Isn't that nuts?
Stampeding. Yeah,
Stampeding happens in battles, are used to historically. Now it happens in concerts. No, it's crazy. Like people were literally stampede
There
death.
there were literally like records of people saying like I was trying to fight for my life, trying to get off the floor, because I couldn't breathe, or people were stepping on my head and like my body part. It's just insane.
So I don't know if you guys saw the video, but there was a lady that was, she ran up to the stage and was talking to the cameraman, and she was saying, people are not dying, but people are getting injured. People can't breathe down there. Stop the show. Stop the show. And I think she actually said there's a person dead on the floor, and the cameraman was just like basically waving her away, right? I couldn't see what he was saying exactly, but I'm pretty positive he was saying, stop, like leave me alone. That's not my job, basically, right? And so I understand both points. I kind of feel bad for the camera guy that he was the one that had to deal with that situation. Obviously, he didn't deal with it because he didn't stop the show. He didn't stop like his portion, which would inevitably stop the entire show. But it sucks because he's probably worried about his job, right? I think there was a previous concert where I think a mic person, they fouled up, and on stage Travis was like, "You're done, you're out of here," and he kicked the guy out. And so the camera guy in this situation, he's kind of scared, right? Like that's his job to set up the cameras and to like do that kind of thing, and so he doesn't want to lose his job.
Yeah, but
unfortunately, it's
but-
immoral of him to not do something about it, right? He had the opportunity to save lives, and he didn't go ahead and do that, right?
But let me just
What do
say
you
real
think?
quickly, like when a concert is happening and you're a videographer for something, like you're just doing your job, and like you're not really like in, and like, even for like going back to your question, Jennifer, you asked, is Travis directly responsible for this? I don't think he was aware that people were dying and this was happening, because
yeah.
I don't think, like,
Mhm.
even if people are yelling, I know there's a bunch of videos on TikTok and elsewhere where people are saying people are dying, stop the show. Like when you're at that stage and there's so much noise going on in the music,
You're literally in the zone. You're like in a
nothing is
different zone.
registering. So,
Yeah.
but that doesn't allow him to escape the
Not an excuse,
responsibility.
right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not an
That
excuse,
but yeah, but
It's
that's
his
something
show.
different though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they overbooked the show. There's no other way to put it. They overbooked the show. They sold more tickets than they had to. They didn't have enough medical staff on site. There was like one nurse who came on CNN and she was saying how the medics there had no idea what to do. And she was like, do you not know how to do CPR and stuff like that? So they didn't have enough equipment, staff. It was the event organizers are to blame as well. And Travis for creating a culture that allows people to just go like, nuts at these concerts. And
I'm gonna be honest. I'm all up for the whole raging thing, the whole like hype, get hyped, get mosh pits and stuff. But maybe Travis just took it a little too far on this one. Well, obviously he did take it too far, but
Yeah.
even like just maybe toning that down, and obviously event organizing, like we can't have 50,000 people cramped in like a small space. Like that's like, what are you thinking? Like,
Correct me if I'm wrong. Go. Sorry, finish.
just real quick, like
Yeah.
us three, we went to like a small concert at like USC or something, right? And even there, like it's hard to breathe at certain times when it's like 200 people in like one area, or like more like 500 people in like one area. That's hard to breathe. Imagine thousands of people in one area. Like that's just insane. That's like
Insane.
ridiculous.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I also heard that there was extremely limited security there, or there was practically no security there. Is that accurate, or are you guys aware or no?
There was security, but it was limited. But they couldn't like help people. Like people were crying for help, but I mean, they can't really help thousands or hundreds of people.
No, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But like my point being, maybe it could have the procedure could have been better, right? That's for sure.
They should have had more
Yeah.
medical staff
Yeah.
on site. They should have had so much fun. Again, they should not overbook events like that where people are literally like crammed in. And also,
Yeah.
one of the things was people were trying to get to Travis closer, and in the process, they were kind of stepping over people, and like people were like trying to get to the front, and
Yeah.
people in the front were just getting squeezed like as people are pushing in and in and in. And
It's
did you
unfortunate,
guys
really.
see the way people just rushed in when the event
Yes.
started? Like
Yeah.
it was like a lottery, like a
It's like a
gold.
cult. It's like
Yeah,
a cult.
I was.
Yeah.
I was like, what's
People
going
were sneaking
on?
into the concert as well. They're hopping the fence prior
Yeah.
to
He
checking.
encourages that. He tells like my
Yeah,
two
it's-
Ragers, there's gonna be seats open, just rush
Yo,
the fences.
like I'm gonna be honest,
Yeah.
I love Travis Scott, but like these fans, like some of them, like
It's insane.
it's kind of a little too far, I feel like.
But again, dude, the people who were there, like the 9-year-old kid you were talking about, he was 9 years old. He was 9 years
Okay,
old.
listen. So this is another thing, all right? Some people are saying, like Travis, people that are kind of defending Travis Scott, like, why would the parents bring a 9-year-old kid to a Travis Scott concert? Think
That's a
about
fair point.
everything. Think about everything Travis Scott advertises. He advertises Fortnite, McDonald's, like the Happy Meals, all these like brands that favor towards kids. Now, if you advertise this to kids and stuff, and then you don't expect kids to come to your show, like that's gonna be obvious. Like Fortnite, look at Fortnite. What's the audience of Fortnite? 9-year-olds, literally 9-year-olds play Fortnite. Of course, they're gonna show up to Travis Scott concerts. They're gonna tell their parents, "I want to go to a Travis Scott concert."
Right, but it's ultimate. Okay, here's the thing. I get what you're saying, man, and I get that kids are gonna want to go, right? But it's ultimately up to the parent. They're 9 years old, and so I think there should be some.
Yeah, but
I don't want to get into that, but point
No,
being,
no,
I
I
don't
see
think a
what you're saying.
9-year-old is fair to
Wait,
be there.
yeah,
No, but he has a good point. Janish has a good point because Travis thinks his fans are like, I don't know what he thinks, but the way he carries himself and the way he markets his whole brand is that his fans like more towards like 18-year-old to 22-year-olds, right? And I think he should consider the fact, like Janish was saying, that a lot of his fans are young. They're really, really young, like in the 7 to like 12 age category. Because he's associated himself with like McDonald's and Fortnite, a lot of his fans are younger and they want to see him. But like for some instances, bro, like I don't know if you guys saw the press conference of the girl's mom who was on ER support. She was on a ventilator, and her mom, I believe she was.
Oh
was
yes, yes,
I
she
think
was
it was
weeping.
Bharti, right?
that was
Bharti?
brutal.
The girl's name was Bharti, I think.
Yeah, I think she was. This is an Indian family, and the
Middle
parents were
Eastern.
immigrants, right? And this girl, she was probably what 17, 18, right around that age. Like,
Yeah, she was in college, I
yeah.
believe.
She was in college, and she told her mom that I'm going to a concert, and her parents didn't think too much of it, right? Because they don't know
Well,
what Travis
she
Scott.
asked her parents.
Yeah,
her-
she
so
asked
the
her
thing is-
parents, that
and
I'm
the
going to a
mom
concert.
has never said yes to anything, right?
Yeah,
So that was the crazy
they-
part.
they let
The
her
mom never
go.
said yes, and they let her.
but again, if you saw the conference, her mom was crying, and it was sad to see. But she was saying this was not a concert, which she's right. This was not a concert; it was a stampede. And so when she told her mom it was a concert, she didn't think too much of it. So there is that disconnect between parents and children. The parents should probably be more careful about like when their
Yeah,
kids ask them to.
That's a little different than a 9-year-old, right? She's still. It's viable to make your own
Yeah.
decision if you're in college,
No,
right?
you're
That's like a
right.
common
Yeah.
practice, But if you're 9 years old, the parent can be a little more,
No, I believe
involved.
the parent was with the kid, I believe.
But regardless, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want to put your kids in that
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I don't
Obviously
know.
not.
I'm not a
Obviously
parent. I don't want to,
Wait a
impede on
second. That
anybody's
kid
parenting.
with his
But
parents? With his parent?
yes,
not. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I
the
believe
9-year-old
so.
was with a parent. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just go to the concert alone. I'm sure you need an ID or some stuff.
Oh my
Dude, you're
god.
9, man. You're like 4
No, I
foot
thought the
tall.
9-year-old came with some like older friends or like a brother, but it was with
Oh,
his parents.
so what happened? A little bit background information. His dad actually passed out in the concert as well, so he
Yeah,
couldn't
see,
really.
that's just
Yeah.
all right. Let's go on.
That is
Some better.
unfortunate.
It's
You know,
tragedy.
one last thing though, Travis
Okay.
Scott is gonna lose an insane amount of money, like an insane amount of money, because they're gonna have to settle all these cases. There's no way they're gonna let them go all the way to trial or to civil trial. But yeah, no, there's been like more than 100 lawsuits filed against Travis Scott, and Drake has been actually named in a couple of them. But no, Travis Scott is gonna lose a ton of money,
Millions.
as he should, I think, as he should.
Kylie
Even
Jenner too, right? She
Hmm?
was named. She was named as
I
well.
don't know. She was backstage. I don't think she has anything to do with
They're
this.
not married either, so I don't. Think
Yeah,
so.
they're not. She has nothing to do. But
I don't
Travis
know.
Scott
That's what I
is,
just saw on the article that
Yeah.
Drake and Kylie.
Yeah, no,
and
Travis is definitely losing a lot of money.
he's
and,
losing a
yeah.
ton of money. But
Regardless,
one
Okay, you
last thing
wanna-
though, I feel like
Okay.
sorry, I know I don't want to stand, but I
It's
think we
okay.
should stop like idolizing celebrities and singers so much so that we're
Dude.
willing to risk our entire lives to like just see a glimpse of them for a second. Like they're just humans. They're not like angels or representatives of God or something. They're just people like us who are talented, and we shouldn't like worship them. Like I don't understand this whole worship.
Yeah, I mean,
you hit it. You hit it on the dot, bro. It's honestly insane, right? Like these human beings, they're first off, they're no better than me. They're no better than you, right? They
Right.
just got lucky. There's tons of talented people
They
on this
worked
planet,
hard
right?
and got lucky. You're right. I mean, they worked
Fair.
hard.
They
Yeah.
worked hard, but to be fair, there's a lot of other talented people, right? And they're in a position. In some sense, there was luck. There had to have been luck to get that
course.
opportunity,
of course,
right?
yeah.
To get that kickoff. Okay, they're human. They don't know I exist. They don't know you exist, Ibrahim. Like, unfortunately, they don't know you
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not gonna go ahead and say, wow, like incredible. Like I can like Travis's music or I can like Leonardo DiCaprio's acting, right? But I'm not gonna go idolize somebody that does something well, right? Like, cool, you're doing it, like nice. Like I enjoy watching your movies or I enjoy listening to your music and all. But it doesn't make sense how somebody honestly, it does make sense. So I have a theory, right? Janice, this is not off topic, but if you want to talk about it real quick, the whole idol thing,
Oh,
or can I go on?
No, just go on. Just go on.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I just want to make sure you got your voice
Yeah,
or whatever. So I have a theory, right? I feel like in general, like people, okay, there's 8 billion of us on this planet, right? And naturally, everybody wants to feel significant, right? They want to feel like they're doing something like bigger than themselves. I just feel inherently everybody does stuff because they want to either feel bigger. I think that's why people will buy luxury stuff, right? Because they want to feel like there's some significance there, or they want to be the best attorney in their law firm because they want to feel some significance, even though it doesn't necessarily signify significance. And so I feel that, idolizing somebody, and being part of this, culture, I guess. I guess Travis does have his own culture, right? He has, a documentary on Netflix that I watched last year, and he has a culture, and people being part of that culture gives them some significance. And it's unfortunate that people get that feeling from other people, but that's kind of part of life, right? A lot of people, they don't have, maybe the necessary means, or they don't have the necessary drive to get to a point where they can better themselves. And so they fall into, whether it's the rat race or whether it's, keeping up with the Joneses or being part of this group that idolizes somebody that's already in a successful position. And so it's unfortunate, but in my opinion, I feel like people, lack significance and they're trying to compensate for that significance. So that's my opinion, but yeah, you want to move on to Apple IDs?
Sure. I guess we can just wrap up with that. So this is actually pretty cool. I mean, I like this this idea, but so pretty much Apple is, if you guys don't know, in their new iOS update, they're adding a feature where you can add your ID, like your state driver's license ID, into the digital wallet. So Apple Wallet or yeah, Apple Wallet. So But there are some implications with this. So it's not just, you added ID and it's good. First of all, only some states are participating in this program, right? Because it's not every state wants to do this, and every state needs to have some sort of infrastructure, some sort of basic funding to support this project. Because even though Apple's making the technology to do it, the verification, like making sure all the IDs are verified and everything, that's going to be done by the state. So it's like kind of like Apple and the state are working together on this project. So there are some implications to this. One of it is that tax money is going into this project, when you think about it, I mean, it's kind of a convenience project, right? Like it helps everyone out. Like there's a lot of times I forget my wallet at home, and I don't have my ID with me or something, so it'll just be on my phone. But there is one side effect to this, is that people are gonna want to buy more iPhones. So it is kind of benefiting Apple a lot in that way. So it's kind of like, are we the state, there's like there's usually a boundary between the state and private companies, and that boundary is kind of being not broken, but they're working together on that. And Apple, I feel like Apple is one of the companies that can do this because they're the biggest company in the world. So but still, taxpayer money is going to go into this project on the states that are participating. And there's also other future projects they're looking at. So they're going to look at maybe COVID passports, on like a digital version on your Apple Wallet and stuff like that. Maybe if it gets to like in a couple of years, they might somehow put the passport on your phone. I don't know if that's possible, but those are like future projects. But just in general, what do you guys think about Apple and working with like different states? And do you think that's fine, or should private companies not be able to kind of work with states, and states get involved with this type of, or maybe states should have their own program where they make their own app or something?
Yeah. Okay. So I honestly, I understand where Apple is coming from. First off, I've said this many times. They are master marketers. I don't think their innovation is where it is, but this is a marketing scheme for them as well, right? But in all fairness, I think it's been proven time after time that the state and government, they're not technologically where we should be, right? And so what I think is, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that a private company that is technologically advanced and technologically there, to go ahead and push forth an initiative that will help us. It will help our convenience. I think that is a nice thing to have. To have a digital ID on my phone whenever I need it, or a digital passport eventually when I need it. And I think there could be a lot of repercussions in terms of, I don't know how the database would work and how all the algorithms would work and all, but I do think that it's a fair thing for Apple to do.
Yeah, so people are questioning like two main things. First is obviously the security. Like you said, there could be some security concerns where if all this is stored in a central database or some sort of a server, it could be hacked into, and people's personal info can be leaked. But Apple is generally good about that stuff, about security. So if we don't consider that issue, the other problem might be that our tax money is kind of going into this project. And yeah, maybe you're using iPhone, and you're with the whole thing, you're like, it's convenient for me. But maybe some people don't care about this stuff. Their money's still going to that project.
That is fair. I did not think about the taxpayer money. I would have to reevaluate that specifically. But
what about our Android user? What do you think, Ibrahim?
Oh, yeah.
So Apple has like discretion. They're the only company that's forming this public-private relationship with these states, right? Like they're the primary company. They're the only company.
No. That's not true. This is just in terms of like, so for example, Microsoft, their Azure cloud infrastructure, right?
Right.
That's used by government. AWS, Amazon servers used by
saying
government. So there's a connection.
Digital IDs specifically, Apple is going to take the helm, or is trying to.
Yeah. Digital IDs, Apple is the first company to try to do that.
Right. So I mean, it just makes sense to have digital driver licenses. Like it's so annoying to carry your ID, so it makes sense, but it is scary though that they'll have all this sensitive information and data But like you said, Apple is one of the few tech companies that really, really takes the privacy of their consumers, and they don't take it for granted. Like they really try, and I give them all credit for it. So if there was a company to do this sort of a public-private relationship, it is Apple, and I'm all in favor of it. But it just I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't, if the federal government were to do this individually, it wouldn't work out, right? Or the states would do this individually,
Yeah,
it wouldn't work
they're
out.
horrible with
They
technology.
need, exactly. So they need a private partner. In this case, Apple works. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Apple definitely works. But what I do think is, I think it should not just be an Apple only thing. I feel like if the government's gonna do that, they should, allow Google, which owns Android, by the way, to have permissions. Like it should be available to all citizens, not just people who own iPhones, right?
But
It's,
do majority of Americans own iPhones? Is that, I'm pretty sure like the majority.
yeah, I think it's like 60-70% probably own iPhone, but 30%.
Yeah. So okay. So I think like we're at very like pre stages of this, and so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that it starts off with iPhone, right? I think that's like, it's just a starting grounds, and then eventually, of course, I don't think you can patent this. I mean, I doubt you can patent a government technology, right? I don't know necessarily, but I doubt you can patent a technology where you can only have IDs on an iPhone. But I think it's a really good base to start this off, and maybe eventually Huawei will have this.
Yeah. Oh,
Huawei.
by the way, guys, we're really off. It's actually 53% Apple. So it's not mostly
Yeah.
Apple.
That means I
Really?
need to sue them and file a motion for discrimination against Android
But
users like me.
and I do think California will be participating in this. So that's pretty good.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
Wait.
And another thing, I thought of is when you're, going on a flight somewhere, you don't have to worry about, having your ID, physical ID. You can just use digital.
True.
So there's a lot of convenience here. And I think it's just a great idea to implement.
Okay, real quick before or did you want to say something before I move on?
No, I'm just saying it's a gradual step. Like I don't know why we haven't done it yet. Why is it
Yeah.
taking so long to have digital IDs?
True. That is
We have digital wallets already. Why can't we just have the IDs too? But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay, so before we wrap up here, I just want to give the viewers an update on Evergrande. It's an extremely interesting topic to me. It's not so socially big and all, but interestingly enough, so just real quick recap, right? Evergrande is a company in China. They are over $300 billion in debt. And that is no joke, right? A lot of people say, trillions of dollars is owed to the Chinese government and is owed to the US government. What's 300 billion? But what you fail to see is, don't use this as a comparison, right? Take it as face value. This is still $300 billion. That's a lot of money, okay? And the interesting thing here is, so it's been about a month, I want to say a month and a half since the in-debt situation was being talked about and the speculations were going on. And interestingly enough, Evergrande is still defaulting. So they still defaulted on their debt. And it's crazy because they have $155 million was owed this month in just interest. And how much did they, sorry, it was $148 million that was owed in interest. And right now they had to sell assets. They had to sell shares in their car company. Companies within Evergrande had to completely sell their company in order to pay just the interest of the $300 billion. Like that to me is mind boggling, right? There's companies within your company that aren't owned by Evergrande necessarily, right? But they're kind of within the umbrella, if you will. They had to sell their company in order to they had to sacrifice their company in order to deal with mistakes that the company made as a whole. And so it's crazy. There's also another investor. He sold his Porsche, he sold his yacht, he sold a couple properties of his in order to help out. Like, first off, sure, a Porsche is a lot of money and a yacht's a lot of money, but that doesn't make a dink in the barrel of a dime in the barrel, right? Of $145 million in just interest rate. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy to me. So just real quick, I just wanted to mention that. And lastly, with Evergrande, so obviously they're still in debt, and there's definitely going to be global repercussions that occur. We're already seeing in China, this is the first we're seeing that housing market is actually decreasing. So they're decreasing the housing market because of this catastrophe that's happening. So there's not enough money flowing in the market in China in order for houses to continue to soar and rise. I don't remember her name, but there was a U.S. official, or not official, but a U.S. Venture capitalist, I believe, that was talking about the Evergrande's effects on the luxury commodity. So it's actually affecting luxury commodities right now, and it will eventually hit our housing market and other countries as well. So yeah, so just
It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't think we have time to cover the infrastructure bill, but we'll probably talk about that next time. I think that covers it, right? I think we covered most of the topics. We didn't get to everything, but that's all right. We'll get to it next week. Again, like Matt was saying, we're now on Spotify, Apple, and Google. So please, if you can listen to us there and do what you want with it. But thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, guys.